6, and the board meeting is now called to order. It is currently 6:00 p.m., and all board members are present. Director Ortiz is en route. At this time, Dr. Shandagiri, will you read the land acknowledgement?
Thank you, Chair. I will. We are gathered today on the land of the Kalapuya, who are represented by the Confederated Tribes of the Grand Ronde and the Confederated Tribes of the Siletz Indians. The relationship between the Kalapuya people and this land continues unbroken to this day. And we offer gratitude for the land and for the generations present and past who have stewarded the land since time immemorial. We respectfully acknowledge and honor past, present, and future Native American and Indigenous students and staff of Salem-Keizer Public Schools. We invite you to join us in honoring these ancestral grounds and celebrating the resilience and strength of all Native American and Indigenous people. Thank you.
Thank you. Will you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Superintendent Castaneda, are there any modifications to the agenda?
There are none.
I will turn this portion of the agenda over to Superintendent Castaneda.
Thank you, Chair and members of the audience. This is one of our favorite portions of every meeting, which is student spotlight, staff spotlight, and community spotlight. And judging by this room, this is going to be an especially good version of this tonight. So I'm going to give it a little bit of orientation before we start. We are going to do each of our spotlights, and then afterward, we'll reconvene up here for photos. So with that, I would like to please welcome Rosalba Diaz-Ruiz, a CSOC from Washington, and she will join us for our community spotlight. Oh, with company as well, as it turns out. Mm-hmm.
Principal at Washington Elementary.
Just 1 second.
Testing.
There we go.
Good evening, Chair Richardson, Superintendent Castaneda, board directors, and student advisors. Tonight, I have the pleasure of recognizing two very special organizations that have shown so much support for Washington Elementary School and our community for the last several years. Holy Cross Lutheran Church and the Salem Toy Run have both been stewards of giving and pillars of strength for our students and families over the years. Holy Cross Church is a longtime partner with a history of being present throughout the year for our families. They provide essential goods such as snacks for our after-school programs, food boxes during the holidays, Christmas gifts for students and families, and donate clothes to our school closet. Furthermore, they provide school supplies and backpacks at the start of every school year. Also, Holy Cross sponsors a staff luncheon during Teacher Appreciation Week and conference times. Your kindness and generosity have not only enriched the lives of our students and families, but have also fostered a strong sense of belonging in our community at Washington.
The Salem Toy Run is a meaningful part of the holiday season for our students and their families. Each year, they organized a magical holiday event for an average of 100 to 120 kids and their families, with visits from Santa Claus and Miss Claus. Children had the opportunity to take cherished photos with them, creating lasting family memories along with heartfelt Christmas gifts and food boxes. Furthermore, the fun-filled activities, holidays, arts and crafts, and delicious snacks, including a delightful cookie decoration station. Families loved the annual motorcycle parade with Santa and the Motorcycle Riders Club in partnership with our local Timbertown Harley-Davidsons. This spectacular event brought excitement and festivity spirit to all who attended, making it a cheerful tradition. Your support not only brings joy to so many, but also strengthens the bonds within our community.
Thank you for being such a great blessing to our school and the incredible impact you make year after year. Your commitment to uplifting and supporting our community is truly commendable, and we are honored to recognize you tonight.
On behalf of the Washington families, thank you, Holy Cross Church and Salem Toy Run, for your continued support throughout the years.
Thank you. We actually have 2 staff spotlights tonight, and so next we'd like to welcome Chad Barks, the principal of Sprague, to share our first staff spotlight.
Good evening, Chair Richardson, Board Directors, Superintendent Castaneda, student advisors. Tonight, it is my honor to spotlight an exceptional leader and coach from Sprague High School. Our varsity volleyball coach, Ann Olson, who has been named the OSAA 6A Volleyball Coach of the Year. Coach Olson has led Sprague volleyball for 14 seasons, building one of the most respected programs in the state. This past season was nothing short of remarkable. The team opened their year by earning first place, gold national champions at the prestigious Nike Tournament of Champions in Arizona. From there, they held the #1 ranking in state, finishing the season with an impressive 27-4 record and advancing to the state tournament, where they brought home second place in the 6A tournament. Ann's excellence is sustained and proven. She is a 6-time Conference Coach of the Year, has led Sprague to 7 conference championships, and previously earned the OSAA 6A Coach of the Year honors in 2018, making this her second time receiving this award. These achievements speak not only to the competitive success, but to consistency, preparation, and leadership. Beyond the numbers and titles, Ann's impact on the Sprague High School runs much deeper. She brings exceptional leadership, a clear vision, and an unwavering commitment to student athletes' development. She has built a culture rooted in accountability, teamwork, and excellence, where students are challenged to grow not only as athletes, but as people. Her teams compete with confidence, discipline, and pride, qualities that reflect her influence far beyond the court. Ann is also deeply committed to inclusion and belonging. She emphasizes character, sportsmanship, and leadership, ensuring that every athlete feels valued and supported. Her focus on personal growth and respect has positively shaped each of her players. Win or lose, her teams represent Sprague with integrity, resilience, and class. On behalf of the Sprague High School, it is my privilege to recognize Coach Ann Olson for her extraordinary accomplishments, her dedication to students, and her lasting impact on our school community. Please join me in congratulating OSAA 6A Volleyball Coach of the Year, Ann Olson.
As you make your way back to your seat, I'll share that my husband and I were at the 6A championship game. And you learn so much about a team and a coaching staff in the moment where you see their hearts broken. And the amount of class and joy and pride that Anne's team had even in that moment was so visible to everyone who was watching that game. And then I'll also share that my husband and I accidentally sat in an area that we did not realize was going to be the student section, so we stood for the entire game, and that was also a project that we didn't expect. But it was a spectacular game, and everyone who was there knew we left watching something that was really special. So for our second staff spotlight, I would like to welcome our middle level director, Matt. There he is, Matt Biondi. Thank you.
Get you up here twice. Twice is better than once, you know what I mean? Good evening. Chair Richardson, Superintendent Castaneda, Board Directors, student advisors. It is my privilege and honor to celebrate a leader who embodies the very best of Salem-Keizer. It's my pleasure to announce that Robin Buckingham, principal of Claggett Creek Middle School, has been named Oregon Middle School Principal of the Year. This is especially fun because if you know Robin at all, she is the, to say that she doesn't love the spotlight and the personal accolades would be an understatement. So this is especially fun. Robin has been at the helm of Claggett Creek for 3 years, but her impact on our district spans much further, from leading Edge Middle School during the challenges of COVID to her years as an assistant principal and teacher. Under her leadership, Claggett Creek hasn't just improved, it's soared. During the 24-25 school year, the school posted some of the highest academic gains in the district. ELA proficiency jumped by nearly 10 percentage points. Math scores saw significant improvement as well. These are not just numbers on the page, they represent hundreds of students who are better prepared for high school and beyond because of Robin's data-driven strategies. Of course, Robin would be the first to say she doesn't do this alone, right? But Robin's brilliance, love that, isn't just in the data, it's in the culture she builds. As an avid national demonstration school, Claggett is a model of what happens when you combine academic rigor with deep sense of belonging. Whether it's expanding affinity groups so every student feels seen, or adding late night transportation so English learners can access tutoring, Robin removes barriers. She lives by a very specific philosophy: high expectations with high support. She often tells her staff and students, we put one arm around them and use the other arm to help pull up their bootstraps, because we can do hard things. Robin ends her morning announcements every day by saying, all are welcome at Claggett Creek. Tonight, Robin, we want you to know how welcome and how valued you are in this district. Your servant leadership doesn't just grow students, it grows the leaders and teachers around you. So on behalf of the district and the state of Oregon, congratulations on this well-deserved honor.
Robin is dreading hearing my voice because it means that it's still happening. I'll just add that we were able to surprise Robin with the celebration in her school when we found out. And I wish you all could have been in the library. First, because it was a surprise and Robin didn't know she had been sent on a wild goose chase through the school that involved her running to every classroom. So by the time she ran into her surprise party, it was 8 a.m. and she was already sweating. But the library was just filled with so much staff pride and joy. And it was a moment that will be a highlight of my year, and we're so grateful for you, Robin. Okay, and for our final spotlight tonight, I would like to introduce Laura Tiffin.
Good evening, Chair Richardson, Superintendent Castaneda, Board Directors, and student advisors. Tonight, I am happy to share highlights celebrating the remarkable fall sports achievements of students and teams across our high schools. At McKay High School, both the girls and boys soccer programs reached impressive milestones this fall. The girls soccer team celebrated a standout offensive season, including earning the Mid-Willamette Conference Player of the Year honor within the program, as well as recognition for the top Salem-Keizer area girls soccer player and a selection for OSBA Athlete of the Week. The team finished fourth in league and exemplified the strong rising talent within McKay athletics. The boys soccer team earned a first-team all-conference distinction within the program, maintained strong academic performances, and showed resilience throughout the season. Their year included significant wins, multiple comeback victories, a third-place finish in league, and a trip to the second round of the playoffs. South Salem Volleyball completed a historic season, earning the best finish in program history and their third place at the OSBA State Championships. Additional highlights included a championship title at the Clearwater Classic Tournament in Bend and 3 consecutive seasons earning state tournament trophies. 2 senior leaders, both 4-year varsity starters, reached statewide milestones this year, including a top 10 all-time ranking in Oregon for career kills and a new state record for career assists. Their leadership has helped cement an incredible legacy for the Saxon volleyball program. The North Salem girls cross-country team had an outstanding season marked by both individual and team success. At the Central Valley Conference Championships, Nellie Dalgas won her 3rd conference title in a row, leading the team to a second-place finish and a qualification for state. At the state meet, Nellie finished 2nd as an individual overall, and the team finished 13th. Nellie went on to place 4th at the Northwest Regional Championships, qualifying her for the Nike Nationals and solidifying herself as the only girl from Oregon to advance to the national meet this year. North's program success reflects the dedication of the student athletes and the coaches. Sprague High School volleyball we have heard about, and their season makes it worth hearing about again, as they posted one of the strongest performances in the program's history and frankly in our district's history. Highlights included a 27-4 overall record, a #1 ranking in Oregon, and a top division national gold finish at the Nike Tournament of Champions in Arizona, which was the highest finish of any Oregon school. The Ole's season culminated in earning that 2nd place trophy at state and obviously earned Ann her 2nd OSBA State Coach of the Year award. The West Salem Titans cross-country program continued its dominance this fall by winning a 4th consecutive conference championship for both the boys and girls teams, qualifying both teams for the state championships. Season highlights included Anders Hagen being named the conference's boys cross-country athlete of the year, Dalton Lindsay earning Central Valley Conference Coach of the Year honors for both the boys and girls teams, and Avery Meyer securing an impressive 4th place finish at the state meet. The McNary High School boys soccer team had another undefeated conference season, which gave them their 4th consecutive Central Valley Conference title. During that 4-year span, McNary boys soccer had a conference record of 27 wins, 1 loss, and 4 ties. In addition, McNary produced the Conference Player of the Year in each of those 4 years. Several of the players have continued their athletic careers at the next level by playing collegiate soccer. Across our district, our fall student athletes demonstrated tremendous commitment, work ethic, character, and teamwork. Their accomplishments reflect not only athletic excellence, but also the dedication of coaches, families, and school communities supporting them every step of the way. Congratulations to all our fall sports teams, and thank you to our whole community for supporting our youth in their athletic pursuits. Thank you.
We have a bonus spotlight because there isn't typically a spotlight for the board, but January is Board Appreciation Month, and we do appreciate our board very much. We were able to celebrate and appreciate them on Saturday when they are working their way through Board Appreciation Month at a board retreat. Jackson, if I could ask you to hold up your star. McKay students made these beautiful stars, which we gave to the board for Board Appreciation Month. But the gifts and appreciation continue. And so I'm going to ask Aaron Harada to tell us a little bit about our second gift of January.
Sure. So Ashley's going to be handing out some bookmarks that were designed by some of our students. So this school year, we're continuing to find ways to promote the importance of literacy. We enlisted with our curriculum department schools to enter into a bookmark art design contest. We had 14 schools participate, and we were able to print off, laminate, and share with you 3 of the winners and 3 of the runner-up designs. So on the back are very fun things for you to read about the benefits of reading to children. So please use the bookmarks. Feel free to pass them on. And we also have a few extras. So.
Thank you. Okay, with that, I think what we'll do is we'll start convening up here for photos. Actually, you know what? That's a good point. Can we actually start with all of our athletes? And we might have to get creative with the space up here, so.
Yeah, I like the dragon. I was about to say, yeah. Oh, look at that. That's really good.
I'm gonna go say hi to people out there.
They're so pretty.
Congratulations. We're gonna find out.
I need to do 3 rows.
And I can't wait for spring break when I can actually get like my
I know, yeah. Yeah, finals week.
I was there for a
I have most of my finals. I have
Aaron, do we need to make it smaller?
You're doing the IB?
This is my first full IB final junior. I love it.
Full IB final.
But this week, honestly, I think it's harder because finals we get out early and you have more time to skating.
Yeah.
Next year, I would like a 10 first week, which would be nice. But tomorrow I have a great 30-minute history presentation. We're doing Germany, well-being, and
That's pretty.
and then I have a math retake on Thursday. But then the weekend.
Thank you.
And then there's more.
Do we want to bring another picture of the coaches in?
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Oh, yeah.
Go spring volleyball.
Congratulations.
Oh my goodness.
You know what?
We have so many athletes. Go.
Well, exactly. You're going to be voting next.
I think it's a mix.
Okay.
In the front and green sweatshirt. She's a teacher coach.
Thank you.
You can do that too. There we go. All right. I was like, of course you get that at the
Where's Matt?
Oh, we do both semesters in one focus.
Oh, okay, so like in the summer. Oh, that's smart.
Yeah.
Mine's been pretty similar. One is like
Zero? No?
I got out of personal finance because I'm gonna do something.
It's like the chicken lady.
So I'm just gonna do and I applied to 2 pre-college programs this year.
Nice. What college are you already looking at colleges?
A bit, but like they're like 4 weeks. One's for 4 week and one's a 3-week summer program, but they have a lot of scholarships, so I hope I get.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
One's in San Francisco. It's at California College of the Arts, Stanford, I think, for 4 weeks. And then one's in Washington University in St. Louis.
Yeah.
That one's 3 weeks. And also in Illinois.
That's pretty cool. You get to go to some cool places.
Yeah. I hope I get it.
Yeah. So you have to like apply it.
Yeah.
Jeez. Oh, okay.
I had to like submit someone. It was like 35 portfolio. Was 5 to 7 or 5 to 8. I figured it 7, but I feel good because like my teachers have been telling me like, oh, your stuff is already like you have a lot of stuff. Like
Yeah.
All right, I'll do a few pictures. Thank you.
Now we will move to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Chair. Tomorrow is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s official birthday. And so I spent the weekend trying to think about what I might say to honor Dr. King tonight, and eventually made the obvious conclusion that the right thing to do is to cede my superintendent's comments to Dr. King himself. So tonight what we're going to do is listen to most of a speech that he made in 1967 to students at Barrett Junior High. The students didn't know he was going to be coming, and the school, in preparation, created a room full of ties to make sure that all of the boys who didn't know that Dr. King was arriving would be properly dressed to receive Dr. King's message. And so I will turn it over to Dr. King himself in 1967.
I want to ask you a question, and that is, what is in your life's blueprint? This is the most important and crucial period of your lives, for what you do now and what you decide now at this age may well determine which way your life shall go. And whenever a building is constructed, you usually have an architect who draws a blueprint. And that blueprint serves as the pattern, as the guide, as the model for those who are to build the building. And a building is not well erected without a good, sound, and solid blueprint. Now, each of you is in the process of building the structure of your lives. And the question is whether you have a proper, a solid, and a sound blueprint. And I want to suggest some of the things that should be in your life's blueprint. Number one in your life's blueprint should be a deep belief in your own dignity, your own worth, and your own somebodyness. Don't allow anybody to make you feel that you are nobody. Always feel that you count. Always feel that you have worth. And always feel that your life has ultimate significance. Now that means that you should not be ashamed of your color. You know, it's very unfortunate that in so many instances, our society has placed a stigma on the Negro's color. You know, there are some Negroes who are ashamed of themselves. Don't be ashamed of your color. Don't be ashamed of your biological features. Somehow you must be able to say in your own lives and really believe it, I am black but beautiful. And therefore you need not be lured into purchasing cosmetics advertised to make you lighter. Neither do you need to process your hair to make it appear straight. I have good hair, and it is as good as anybody else's hair in the world. And we've got to believe that. Now, in your life's blueprint, be sure that you have that a principle of somebodyness. Secondly, in your life's blueprint, you must have, as a basic principle, the determination to achieve excellence in your various fields of endeavor. You're going to be deciding as the days and the years unfold what you will do in life, what your life's work will be. And once you discover what it will be, set out to do it, and to do it well. And I say to you, my young friends, that doors are opening to each of you. Doors of opportunity are opening to each of you that were not open to your mothers and to your fathers. And the great challenge facing you is to be ready to enter these doors as they open. Ralph Waldo Emerson, the great essayist, said in a lecture back in 1871 that if a man can write a better book or preach a better sermon or make a better mousetrap than his neighbor, even if he builds his house in the woods, the world will make a beaten path to his door. That hadn't always been true, but it will become increasingly true. And so I would urge you to study hard, to burn the midnight oil. I would say to you, don't drop out of school, and I understand all of the sociological reason why we often drop out of school. But I urge you, in spite of your economic plight, in spite of the situation that you are forced to live so often with intolerable conditions, stay in school. And when you discover what you're going to be in life, set out to do it as if God Almighty called you at this particular moment in history to do it. And just don't set out to do a good Negro job, but do a good job that anybody could do. Don't set out to be just a good Negro doctor, or a good Negro lawyer, a good Negro school teacher, a good Negro preacher, a good Negro barber, a beautician, a good Negro skilled laborer. Set out to do a good job and do that job so well that the living, the dead, or the unborn couldn't do it any better. If it falls your lot to be a street sweeper, sweep streets like Michelangelo painted pictures. Sweep streets like Beethoven composed music. Sweep streets like Leontine Price sings before the Metropolitan Opera. Sweep streets like Shakespeare wrote poetry. Sweep streets so well that all the host of heaven and earth will have to pause and say, here lived a great street sweeper who swept his job well. If you can't be a pine on the top of the hill, be a scrub in the valley. But be the best little scrub on the side of the rill. Be a bush if you can't be a tree. If you can't be a highway, just be a trail. If you can't be the sun, be a star. For it isn't by size that you win or you fail. Be the best of whatever you are. And finally, in your life's blueprint, must be a commitment to the eternal principles of beauty, love, and justice. Don't allow anybody to pull you so low as to make you hate them. Don't allow anybody to cause you to lose your self-respect to the point that you do not struggle for justice. However young you are, you have a responsibility to seek to make your nation a better nation in which to live. You have a responsibility to seek to make life better for everybody. And so you must be involved in the struggle for freedom and justice. Now, in this struggle for freedom and justice, there are many constructive things that we all can do and that we all must do. And we must not give ourselves to those things which will not solve our problems. You've heard the word nonviolent and you've heard the word violent. I happen to believe in nonviolence. We struggle with this method with young people and adults alike all over the South, and we have won some significant victories, and we've got to struggle with it all over the North because the problems are as serious in the North as they are in the South. But I believe as we struggle with these problems, we've got to struggle with them with a method that can be militant, but at the same time does not destroy life or property. And so our slogan must not be burn, baby, burn. It must be build, baby, build. Organize. Yes, our slogan must be learn, baby, learn, so that we can earn, baby, earn. And with a powerful commitment, I believe that we can transform dark yesterdays of injustice into bright tomorrows of justice and humanity. Let us keep going toward the goal of selfhood, toward the realization of the dream of brotherhood, and toward the realization of the dream of understanding goodwill. Let nobody stop us. I close by quoting once more the man that the young lady quoted, that magnificent black bard who has now passed on, Langston Hughes. One day he wrote a poem entitled Mother to Son. The mother didn't always have her grammar right, but she uttered words of great symbolic profundity. Well, son, I'll tell you, life for me ain't been no crystal stat. It's had tacks in it, boards torn up, places with no carpet on the floor, bare. But all the time, I's been a climbing on and reaching landings and turning corners and sometimes going in the dark where there ain't been no light. So boy, don't you stop now. Don't you sit down on the steps 'cause you finds it's kind of hard but I still going, boy. I still climbing. And life for me ain't been no crystal stair. Well, life for none of us has been a crystal stair, but we must keep moving. We must keep going. If you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl, but by all means, keep moving.
Thank you, Dr. King. Clearly, nothing can be added to that. And so I will send it back to the chair.
Amazing. Thank you for using your time to share Dr. King's speech. That was so meaningful. It's now time for the public comment portion of the school board meeting. As a reminder, all audience members are subject to immediate removal if you engage in abusive, oh, did I mess up? I'm sorry. Next on our agenda is the 5-year forecast review report from Heidi Son, our Chief Financial Officer.
Good evening. Chair Richardson, trustees, superintendent, and student advisors. Thank you so much for the time. This fall, the district partnered with Afton LLC to conduct a rigorous review of our five-year financial projection and the model that we used. You may recall that we brought the 5-year forecast to the December board meeting. And so we wanted to talk a little bit about the review process, the independent review process that we had to validate that. Afton is a national consulting firm that, among other things, provides consulting services to school districts in areas of financial planning and analysis. And this process took considerable time and effort over 10 weeks this past fall. And I am very pleased to share that the results of this review were very affirming and want to talk a little bit about that tonight. So, yeah, you're good. Nope, back one slide. So talking just a little bit, thank you, Aaron. It's talking just a little bit about the scope, objectives, and methods that Afton used in terms of doing the review. They focused on 2 main goals. The first goal was about checking the model's mechanics, really making sure that the forecasting tool that we built, that the analysts built, was working the way that it was intended to work, that when we put inputs into it and we recalculate and they go through the model and come out, that they are working the way and calculating the way that they should. The other part of the review that they focused on was validating the assumptions that were used in the review, or in the forecast. There's a lot of assumptions that go into building what our future financial forecasts are. And so we wanted to really think about, are those reasonable? Can they be checked against historical trends and about other outside data that's available to check them, and really validating those assumptions. To do this work, Afton spent time interviewing our staff, reviewing our historical data that we have in our financial system, also looking at external data that's available in the public that we can test our validations against. And they also used methodologies of calculating the forecast in different ways and comparing that against how our model calculated that. So next slide. So the results were good, as you can see. It's a little bit hard to see up there, but lots of green on this slide, and that's a good thing. What that tells us is that when we looked at the mechanics of the model and went through that, this really shows the thoroughness of the inputs that were included and reviewed in the model, and that across these inputs, Afton was able to confirm that the model was calculating it correctly and was working as designed to work. The assumptions, the slide shows a picture of the major assumptions that were tested and validated in the model, and in addition to validating that, the forecast, as I mentioned, calculated those things in another manner, and so that was good. The rating, if we can go to the next. When we look at these, and when we look at testing the assumptions in the model, we also looked at having a rating scale that we validated. So when Afton looked at these, they determined whether or not the item was within 0 to 5%. And if it was within 0 to 5%, looking at different methodologies in different ways, they consider that to be strongly validated. And you can see when you look here that almost all of our factors were strongly validated, very strongly validated. And if you think about what that means that we are forecasting right now a $25 million structural deficit that we are planning reductions for. And what this says to us is if that our forecasts were off 5%, that would be a difference of about 1.2 million either other way. So that is really good precision in terms of using that number as a number to plan to. So that's a good result. There's a couple of items that you can see that were not strongly validated. They had a little more, they were a little outside the range. What we will say about those is that those are smaller dollar amounts in terms of the overall assumptions, and so they have significantly less impact. So they're not areas that we are overly concerned about the fact that we're outside of the range. So if it was in an area that we were concerned about, that we would do more and we would look at that more, but since they weren't, we didn't need to do that. So although the results of the review were very strong, Afton did provide us with some recommendations for future enhancements, which our team will be working towards incorporating in the future. Those enhancements were more in the category of working within the tool to make it more efficient so that we could run different scenarios and look at things. So not so much about the validity of the forecast, but more about just making it easier to work with and some good suggestions in that space. Another really important deliverable from this engagement was that they provided us a validation tool. So they built a validation tool that they used in their work. And that was something that was delivered to us that we can use moving forward. So as we're enhancing our tool and updating projections in the future and doing that, we will be able to use that tool as a validation process ourselves. And we can have some independent review of the model internally. So that was a nice deliverable that we had. Being fairly new to my role as the district CFO, I am very grateful to have had this outside review and have this look. The forecast is being used to drive some major decisions for the district, and so I think that the budget analyst team, while confident in the forecast that we have presented, was very appreciative of the second objective outside review and really appreciated having folks come and really ask them some hard questions about how they're looking at things and what their assumptions are. So I think that was a really good exercise for them and time very well spent. I want to express my appreciation to Afton Partners and especially to the district's budget team, Christina Kiss and Annalie Timanow, for building the forecast model, managing that model, working with the team on executing and developing a forecast for us. Really appreciate that. It was a significant investment of their time and energy, and it's a really crucial part of supporting our district's ability to manage our resources effectively. So those are my remarks, and I would be happy to take any questions.
Director Fuller. Thank you so much, Chair. I'm curious, are consulting firms typically used by districts for their forecasts? Or to?
I'm stumbling a little because
Okay.
I think, I want to make sure I understand your question. Are you saying are consulting groups typically used to create a forecast or to run third-party tests of system strength?
Got it. Well, if we get further down my question list, you might get that. No, it's okay. So I'm just curious about if other districts use consulting firms to, well, let me back up. First of all, our district built the model, is that correct?
that's
Okay. And then we hired a consulting firm to test it.
Correct.
Got it. Do most districts do that, especially larger ones like Salem-Keizer?
Larger districts usually have a third-party view into your overall financial systems. That's in
Okay.
addition to your audit, which every system does. You don't do it every year, but you do it to make sure that you haven't gotten so accustomed to a process that you are actually missing important parts of its behavior.
Absolutely. And then, what does it cost?
Heidi, do you have the answer to that?
I do.
Ballpark,
it was right around 80,000.
80,000, okay. And then, so understanding that it's not atypical for districts to use a consulting firm to test the model that they build, how often are consulting firms used to do this?
I mean, what's the frequency?
Yeah.
I don't know that there's a standard. I will talk about the past and then hand it to Heidi to talk about her additions to this. I don't believe Salem-Keizer's model has been third-party tested for a decade.
Okay.
Which is why we felt, given the magnitude of the decisions that we all and you all will face, that this was a good time to check its accuracy. And then I'll hand it to Heidi for any response you might have on the right interval as a matter of best practice.
Yeah, I think as an interval of best practice, that's an interesting question. I'll go back and say that, so there's a cost in terms of having the third party. We have a tool and a model that we built, and that's, the cost of software. There's software available and things that we could have, but those things are very, very expensive, more than the cost of the third-party review on an annual basis. So I think, I don't know that there's a best practice in how frequently you bring someone in to look at a model you built. But I think you kind of can look to factors in your environment too. We've had some change in positions and those types of things. And so some of the factors there can lead you to say, maybe it's time to come in and look at it, right? And I think one of the things I'm really grateful out of this is what Afton did is they did their third-party review, but they also built a validation tool alongside of that we can use to complement. So I think that'll be helpful.
Yeah, that was. I mean, I don't get really excited over budget formula validating tools, but the fact that the district got to keep it and use it again was helpful.
Yeah.
And then, because if I'm understanding, if our forecasting tool isn't dialed in, we have the potential, please correct me if I'm wrong, if it's not dialed in, we have the potential to maybe be looking at an amount of cuts that may or may not be accurate, cuts or ahead. Being in the black, is that the right word to say? It ensures accuracy for budget so that we can spend our money the most efficiently. Is that?
Yes,
Yeah,
that is.
okay.
We're driving really big decisions off of that, and of course it has assumptions, and so it's reasonable based on what we know. But for it to be directionally off course, we would not want that to be driving decision making in that instance.
Thank you, Heidi and Andrea. Appreciate it.
Dr. Sandra Gary.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, I really appreciate this good results. So I just want to understand a little bit. So we are using the existing way the funding comes as our basis for the model we are using, because there are 2 points which I wanted to kind of bring it to the attention. One is the students in poverty ADMR, right? The way the state has been measuring versus the real time of measuring poverty, there's a discrepancy. There was an op-ed in Oregonian, and I'm just kind of quoting that. So sometimes it can be off the real numbers versus what the state has been using the census data. And the second part is children or special need, IEP and things like that. There's 11% cap the state has kind of decided. I don't know what's the scientific basis for that, but we have close to 16 or 17% of our children, if I remember right, have IEP or special thing. So does this kind of allow us to have a conversation with the state saying it's time for them to change their model and bring it a little bit more close to what should be? Or we are just using whatever we are being told to use based on whatever the state is allotting and calling that as our model? Or I just want to understand.
I think I can help with this one, Dr. Chandragiri. There's really two, you bring up two matters. One is, how accurate is the state's method of funding the needs of Salem-Keizer? And then there is a second, which is, how accurate is our system at anticipating the revenue and the expenses of the district for the year? This third-party tool only gets at the latter. How accurate are we at forecasting, budgeting, and managing resources as part of a traditional budget process? The former issue, the one about accuracy around the state, is one that we started to pursue as a school district and built our own modeling tool to help us better understand the degree of the underfunding, what I would describe as underfunding, that we and all other districts in Oregon experience due to poverty. But because that will require legislative advocacy and statutory change, we haven't incorporated any of that functionally lost revenue into our fiscal planning, and can't until we are more successful with a legislative strategy.
Do you mind if I just follow up? The reason I'm just saying is, I haven't got a straight answer so far in the last 6 years about how much does it really cost to educate a child to have proficient reading by 3rd grade or graduate within 4 years of being in high school, right? So we are kind of using that basic denominator is not entirely clear to me. And then all the weightages we have been just carrying over, I guess, from 1995 onwards. But then so many other things have been added to that. And what it cost to raise a child in 1995 is not the same as what it cost to raise a child in 2025 or 2026. So, at some stage, if this data or what it really cost will allow us to use a way to bring it up with the legislative committee or the OSBA, et cetera, and start really advocating from the point of view, the actual cost versus saying that our tool matches what was essentially what we are following. And that would be a very helpful outcome of spending that $80,000 to do this kind of study. Because we really need to know how much it costs to actually educate. Then we have some members in various committees at the state level and local level. We can start saying we need, because we are talking about $25 million shortage. That's like so many staff positions can be impacted. But if our revenue is what it really costs to educate, or are there any unfunded mandates that are being added that is costing us a lot of money? So I think those kind of discussions can be one outcome of such a modeling and saying, are there any gaps in our model? That's the reason I asked this question.
I'll respond briefly by saying that the legislature commissioned exactly the report you're asking about. It's a very complicated research question, simple to state, hard to pursue. The finding of the third-party research group, AIR, that attempted to answer this question concluded that Salem-Keizer was underfunded by between $7,000 and $8,000 per student. So I am pleased that the expense of that work has already been undertaken by the state, and a very strong initial answer has been provided.
All right, thank you.
Director Harnish.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for this report, and I really appreciate having this this third-party review. I think of this as really a building block for what we as a board and as a district and as a community have facing us. I think we do know and understand that we are not funded at the level that we should be. And at this point, that's, while we're working on it and have made some statements around it, that's right now outside of the purview of what this is, but also our job at this particular moment. I feel really confident based on this report that we are, unfortunately, we have to make some reductions this next year, which is heartbreaking. But it's nice to know that we are starting with where at least the best information that we can have. So I just want to say thank you so much, Heidi, for your leadership and stewardship of this, and also please extend appreciation to your team. These types of things take a lot of time and energy, and that does not go unseen. So thank you.
Thank you.
Director Ortiz.
Thank you, Chair. This is great, right? When you look at that little table that says validated rating, and then the difference between Salem-Keizer's and Afton's forecasted inputs. I mean, like, to be within a 0 to 5% margin is pretty incredible. So just to echo Director Harnish's statement around like gratitude to you and your team, I know you've come on board and have kind of undertaken this. On those two items where it says validated and partially validated, are we working on improving those, kind of closing that margin gap? And if so, what's the timeline? I do see the note that it says that the impacts don't impact what is the revenue is negligible, the little comment on there. But I can't read it.
See. Yeah, in terms of any of the recommendations that they made, we are taking those to heart and thinking about how we will incorporate those into that. We will prioritize that. The net effect on our forecast of those two things was like 150,000, and they offset each other. And so in terms of like the delta. And so, so yes, and we'll probably prioritize that along with some of the other things that we want to make sure we stay focused on in terms of making the tool a little more nimble so that we can, you know, run updates through there quickly and run through our validation processes and increase the efficiency of the tool. But the answer is yes.
Jolie?
I was just wondering, what does, in the input column, some of the things have ADMR after them? I was just wondering what that stood for because I didn't know.
Average daily membership. So it's basically, it's how we calculate based on how much we apply. You know, you get a certain amount per ADM, so we have to calculate our ADM, and then that is kind of what determines what the funding is going to be from the state based on those numbers.
Thank you.
Director Parker?
Yes, hello. I appreciate this model. It looks very well thorough, and your team has done a lot of work. My question is, was this the only consultant firm that we looked at, and did they have, did we study their reviews, or did we look at other consultant teams, or is this the only one that we went to?
I can answer that, Director Parker. So this consulting firm is not the only one that does this exact kind of work. I would say there's, certainly nationally 3 or 4. I did quite a lot of research into the different available groups, and most of the national firms are absolutely unaffordable for us. Afton was by far the least expensive, and also has experience doing this with other districts of similar size.
Thank you. May I follow up?
Director Fuller.
Thanks. I can put a pin in this question if it's too far off topic, but hearing the question about ADM and following up on Dr. Shandagiri's comments as well, do we know the difference between our district's calculated ADM and how that matches up to what the states gives us? Is there, I mean, I know there's a difference, that's why, but.
The state gets their ADM from us.
From us?
Yes.
Got it, okay.
It does then once the school year starts, it gets double checked, but we provide them that data, as do all districts.
Thank you so much for that great report. We sincerely appreciate it. It is now time for public comment portion of the school board meeting. As a reminder, all audience members are subject to immediate removal if you engage in abusive, threatening, vulgar, or hate speech, including speech articulated in signs and clothing, which violate the district's harassment and/or every student belongs policy. Please note that we provide an opportunity for public comment by virtual call-in, in person, or in writing. Electronic mechanisms are used for translation. Each participant has 3 minutes. We have a countdown timer on screen for monitoring our time. The timer counts down from 3 minutes. At 30 seconds, it turns from green to yellow. At 1 second, it turns red and plays a short bell to signal time is up. Please be mindful of your pace for our interpreters. If the board receives written comment ahead of the meeting, the written comment will be posted on the district website. Tonight, 3 people signed up and have been selected to comment. At this time, will Jacqueline Barron please come forward?
Good evening, board members and student advisors. My name is Jacqueline Barron, and I am a junior at North Salem High School. I'm here to share only one of many realities affecting our community and students. With an increase in immigration and customs enforcement, what is the district doing to support students, teachers, and community members at this time? Policies created by the Salem-Keizer School Board are ineffective if they only apply once the student is inside the building. Communication remains a significant barrier for many families during high-stress periods of immigration enforcement. Policies like the Yonder phone pouches are a direct failure to accommodate the needs of immigrant students. For a student living in fear of a raid, being unreachable is a safety risk, not a classroom convenience. Students are forced to learn that ICE has taken their caregiver or family member through community rumors or by returning to an empty home. When the district prioritizes phone-free zones over students in the immigrant community, the district does not fully understand or prioritize their unique trauma. While there are district-wide policies in place, reports indicate that not all frontline staff, such as bus drivers, office assistants, and substitute teachers, receive the same level of training on how to handle interactions with federal agents. Without ongoing training, a staff member may unintentionally provide information or access to agents who look like police, but are actually acting on civil immigration matters. Due to the district's slow provision of official guidance, immigrant students often have to act as translators and information gatherers for their families, which increases their academic and emotional burden. Statements of unwavering support do not cover legal defense costs. They do not provide food for children whose main provider has been taken. They do not prevent ICE agents from patrolling our apartment complexes near school zones. The longer the district delays taking action, the fewer students we will have learning in classrooms. We have the opportunity to act now before something unthinkable happens to one of our students, teachers, or community members. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Kimberly Reed-Zauber.
Good evening. Oh, it stays on. We are fancy. Good evening, board directors, Madam Chair, student advisors, superintendent. My name is Kimberly Reed-Zauber. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a proud union member and a tenacious teacher in Salem-Keizer. I speak to you tonight as an individual member of our community. Board directors, you've probably already heard calls to crop from the top in the face of this budget shortfall, meaning cut from district administrative salaries before cutting student-facing staff. You've probably also heard this argument. There are so few directors, any cuts there would be a drop in the bucket. So what does that drop mean? Directors and deputy superintendents' salaries range from about $150,000 to $200,000 a year. That's equivalent to 3 or 4 licensed educators. Now, if we only consider traditional classrooms, that's about 30 elementary students impacted per teacher. At middle school, it starts at 150 per teacher. High school is 180 plus. And depending on the assignment, some licensed staff can end up working with several hundred students during the year. Drop in the bucket? 30 students is 30 people we are bound to serve. 30 families in our community who support our public schools. 30 children whose academic development is in our hands. 30 humans who depend on us for mental, emotional, and physical safety. Not a drop in the bucket, they're people. So I challenge you, directors, when you're looking at this budget shortfall to really think about the students first. They're the reason we're here. When there are cuts to be made, they should be made first among those whose salaries cost the most and who do not mentor, coach, or teach our students. So I challenge you to think of pay in terms of the dollar amounts that impact student-facing staff and therefore students. Because a 4% COLA means a lot more at $200,000 a year than it does at 60. Think in terms of the people we serve, because even if it only makes a difference to 30 students, it makes a difference to those 30. Finally, I challenge you to argue for COLA cuts or freezes for those who earn the most and do not directly support students. Call for administrative furlough days with schools still open. In the case of a RIF, fight for substantial reductions among the highest paid personnel where they can best minimize the damage. But please, don't sit by and allow our district to prioritize disposable income for the few over the needs of all of our students. Thanks.
Brian Zauber-Reed.
Thank you. Good evening, Board of Directors, Superintendent Castaneda, and student representatives. Thank you for having me tonight. My name is Brian Zauber-Reed. I come to you as a member of the community, a concerned, vested member of the Salem-Keizer education family, and I am compelled to address a pressing issue that affects not only many in this room, but also students and staff at large. As we mentioned, we're facing a significant budget shortfall of $25.5 million. According to our last estimate, this would impact our students, staff, and the integrity of our educational system. But yet, we have recently committed a staggering $15.5 million towards an old Wells Fargo call center, which currently stands cannot be utilized for at least another 3 years due to zoning and other challenges. This decision raises several important questions. Why was such a substantial sum invested in a building which we were already aware of its impending financial crisis? Did we adequately consider the implications of this expenditure on our overall budget? Furthermore, we must recognize a troubling pattern. The Wells Fargo call center was acquired through the same Portland real estate broker, NMDM, which previously sold an unusable Wells Fargo building to the Eugene School District back in 2024. A purchase ultimately proved unusable. It's worth noting that the Eugene District faced over $10 million in cost to bringing the building up to code. So originally a $2 million investment ballooned into a $12 million lemon. Fortunately, they were able successfully to sell it and recoup some of their losses. It seems counterproductive to divert our limited resources to projects that don't provide immediate benefit to our students, especially when the alternative could involve layoffs, furloughs, and pay cuts to our student-facing staff. Now it appears the district leadership is once again looking to cut staff, possibly, as a fix to the situation that many perceive this time could have been avoided. We must ask ourselves, is this fair to the students? Is it fair to our dedicated staff? Our community relies on us to provide an education and support for our children. While I understand that the decisions of this magnitude may involve various factors and have been with best intentions, transparency and accountability are paramount. Our community deserves clarity on how decisions are made, especially in the light of financial decisions. I urge the board and the district leadership to engage with our tax-paying community decisions on how we can avoid sacrificing student-facing jobs in the future. Let us work collaboratively to find solutions to support our students rather than create additional unnecessary burdens. Thank you, and I appreciate your time.
Thank each one of you for your comments that you have provided tonight. We will now recess for a 10-minute break. Please return by 7:27. Thank you. Next on our agenda is the second vote for the OSBA Board of Directors Position 11 for Marion County. The outcome of the first vote resulted in Satish Chandagiri and Karina Guzman-Ortiz, each receiving 50% of the votes. In accordance with the election procedures outlined in OSBA bylaws 3.5.2D, a second voting period is now open to determine the elected representative for Marion Region Board Position 11. As a reminder, approval of 4 or more votes would translate to a yes vote on the district's official ballot for that particular candidate. Do I have a motion in support of one of the 2 proposed candidates? Director Harnish?
Yes, I would like to move forward Director Guzman-Ortiz.
At this time, I'll open the floor for discussion. Okay.
Chair, we need a second before we discuss.
What'd she say?
A second. We need a second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll second.
Second by Director Fuller. At this time, I'll open the floor for discussion. All those in favor of approving Director Karina Guzman-Ortiz, raise your hand and say aye. 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 3, 4. I think 4 is all we need, right?
Do you need to do opposed?
No.
Mm-mm. Thank you, everybody. Our board secretary will complete the board's ballot according to the votes this evening and submit it on behalf of our board. Thank you very much. In October, the board appointed 2 candidates, Elua Theodore and Jim Vu, to the Budget Committee pursuant to OAR 581-022-2307. The school district board, in consultation with the superintendent, must select at least 1 member from the district equity committee to serve on the school district budget committee. The board reopened the application process in December and received 1 application for the vacant position. The budget committee candidate received instructions to submit an application and a virtual 5-minute video interview answering 3 questions. I'd like to welcome our candidate, Mr. Armando Reaga Munzos, to our meeting. Thank you for being here virtually.
Do I have to say something? I'm sorry.
Good evening. We just want to welcome you and thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Do I have a motion in favor of appointing Armando Reaga Munoz to the Budget Committee?
I do motion.
Dr. Sandegari makes the motion. Is there a second?
I will second.
Was seconded by Director Mel Fuller. At this time, I'll open the floor for discussion.
Well, I want to say thank you, Armando, for stepping up. And that, we need a good budget committee this time because we need to take some tough decisions with all the financial challenges that we will be facing. And hope this allows our budget committee to, this allows our budget committee and all of us to stay laser focused on the goals and making sure our students' academics, etc., is really kept in the focus. We have the goals that we have, and we will have to go through tough decisions and financial decisions that are going to be tough but necessary. So I look forward to working with you and all our new budget committee members, and together let's do the right thing. Thank you.
All of those in favor of approving Armando, raise your hand and say aye. 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 All. Congratulations, Armando, and welcome to the Budget Committee.
Thank you so much.
I don't see your video.
Let me see.
That's all right.
No pressure.
Oh, there you are. There you are.
There he is.
I can see. It's kind of cold down here downstairs, but thank you for having me and trusting me with this.
Welcome.
You want to say anything for us? I saw you in the committee one day. Yeah.
Just want to say thank you for trusting me with this position. I want to do my best, making sure that all my efforts are addressed to our students and the community and the school district as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next on the agenda is the first reading for revisions to Executive Limitation 11, Academic Program. Deputy Superintendent Neves, I'll turn the floor over to you.
Thank you, Chair Richardson, Board Directors, Student Advisors, Superintendent Castaneda. We are going to look tonight at a proposed revision for Executive Limitation 11, which focuses on the academic program. This is one of the policies that the board provides to our superintendent to provide guidance for the sort of guardrails for our work. And we're bringing some updates because this has not been updated since 2007. It's been a little while. And we wanted to clarify some language, do some alignment to board goals, and also streamline some pieces in terms of making it a little bit simpler for you to assess whether or not we have met all of the requirements of the limitation. So I'll take a moment or two to walk you through our proposed revisions, then open it to you for discussion, and then we'll be back for a second read at a later date. So in this particular item, you'll see that in the very first, number 1, we are recommending removing some language about nationally recognized model standards. Since the time of this initial writing of this executive limitation, our Oregon state standards are aligned with national standards. So it's just clarifying language, making it a little bit simpler to just say that we'll meet or exceed our state standards, which is what is expected of all of our schools. In the next section, we're focusing on our curriculum, and we wanted to do a couple of things here that we're recommending. We are, number 1, adding the term programming so that we're looking at both our curriculum materials as well as other academic programming that's supporting the varied needs of our students. And then there's, for clarity's sake, just a rewrite and revision of that sentence, sort of just flipping the phrases to make it easier to understand. When we get down to sections 3, 4, 5, those 3 have actually been folded together into 2. So the first thing you'll see is that we're recommending removing the item that is specifically about failing to encourage innovative programs, because that's actually part of the process that we do when we evaluate our academic program and make modifications and adjustments. And so the proposed revision is for number 3 to be about evaluating, updating, and modifying our curriculum and academic program to assure that those are continuing to be effective. And then the next one is looking at the further communication with the board about the instructional program in the alignment with the board goals. So we will continue to give you updates on our instructional program through our monitoring of our board goals. Those are the recommended revisions, but I will turn it over to you to have a discussion about what you'd like to see as we update this particular policy.
Dr. Sandagiri.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you, Deputy Superintendent, for sharing this. I mean, this is a much needed revision, but there are 2 things that I just wanted to say, and first I'll say it in the positive way, and then I'll try to put it in the negative language. The positive ones are, in this academic standard, one of the things we experienced during COVID especially is that our families would benefit if we have access to, say, textbooks and materials that they can, because some of our parents want to help the children after hours or, help at home. So that is one thing. So ability to borrow books, take it home, and keep the books for the year and perhaps return it, so that there is a way to reinforce what they're learning in school on a real-time basis. So that would be, the second part would be a public-facing, transparent website, which really talks about the standards and also what curriculum we are using, so that there is almost like a real-time, the parents and the community members can keep track of what is being taught. There is some kind of standardization across. Other countries, we call it syllabus. And I don't know, there's here probably the standard and what is being taught, so that everybody knows what is expected of that grade level. And so that is those 2. So the negative language would be fail to establish a public-facing website which has a transparent way of sharing the standards and the expected curriculum that is being taught at each semester. So that's one way to approach it. And then fail to ensure that when we acquire textbooks and books, there is sufficient budget allocation so that every child can have the needed tools, resources, books that they can take it home and use it and bring it back. I'll probably play with the words, and I may not be very good at wordsmithing, but having those materials available is also equally important. We ran into this difficulty, and we faced, so there was some question that came up is, can children have it? And the explanation was, because of the copyrights, we cannot give it to the children to take it home. So I think we should not have such restrictions, because not all children are good at learning at the same pace. And some parents, especially if your language is not primarily English, then it takes a little bit to sit at home and kind of go through the same material again and again a couple of times. So having access to the book that they can borrow and keep it and then bring it back is also going to be helpful, because not everybody are good at learning using a Chromebook. There was also a shortage of Chromebook, and not everybody may have Wi-Fi at home. We learned that also. So having a tangible book, they can. So those are some thoughts I had.
Thank you.
Student Advisor Jackson.
Sorry. I think I just need a little bit more clarification on why we're removing that section on innovation.
It's actually not removing it, it's actually adding it to the one right below. So the number will become number 3, it was originally number 4, is the one that's looking at the evaluation and modifications of our program. And so our program, when modified, would include innovations. And so it's bringing that into that one where it would say that the superintendent shall not fail to ensure that instructional programs are regularly evaluated, updated, and modified as necessary to assure their continuing effectiveness, which would include innovation and not just have innovation as a separate item, because it really just noted that it's encourage innovation when and where appropriate, which is still part of the regular evaluation process.
All right, thank you.
Dittoing, I think that's extremely important, and that's still something that we continue to hear largely from our community. I mean, just going backwards as far as roots of schooling and the increasing number of poor kiddos that do struggle academically and in school. And even myself, it's like paying the Wi-Fi bill, like keeping up with stuff. I understand all of that. And it would make my own household with my kids much easier, and a long list of ways, you know, as one thing to add to that as far as vouching. We also had a conversation about cost earlier today of sustainability of electronics and all of that for the kids, which I think is something to consider and come into play with that. I think I am wondering about your words on changing, I don't know if this is what you said, kind of national standards and changing it down to state standards. Did I hear that correctly? So we're just looking at comparisons with the state as districts rather than national?
So right now, in terms of if you're thinking about what would be nationally recognized model standards, that actually predates the national standards that exist for example, next generation science standards, Common Core standards, and Oregon standards already are in alignment with those other national standards. So it's actually redundant to say that we'll meet or exceed our state standards and national model standards. So our recommendation was just to simplify that language.
So updating standards is what we assume we're doing by that, not eliminating comparisons to keep up with national standards?
So that 1A is specifically saying that we will have a program that is going to meet or exceed standards. Our state standards in Oregon, which is the first part, are aligned to other national standards, including Common Core, Next Generation Science Standards, the standards that are used by College Board and ACT on those college entrance exams as well.
I would be interested to include also national, just in case our state standards change, because we don't have power and control over that. And I think it's vital that our kids stay in unison. That should be our goal with the nation, because otherwise we're really shooting them in the foot. And I can go down a list of why and reasons, but I would really like to see that included in the sentence, please, and thank you.
So just to understand, you're saying that, right, what I'm understanding Danielle to say is that right now, those two things are aligned. And what I'm hearing you say is, well, what if they're not anymore, right? You want to leave that in there as so that in case they change between now and when we revise this again, we're covered.
Yes.
Am I understanding you right?
That's absolutely right, because we already know that we struggle in that area, and the kids going to college, and then if they want to move out of state, and they should maintain a level with their peer base and not be underserved and then be stuck in poverty, because those are that's the max level of job capacity they can hold after school, and so, thank you.
Dr. Sadnagiri.
So this is another one. We'll start with the positive and sorry. It's like trying to dance with your head down.
Can I ask you a quick clarifying question about what you spoke to earlier before you go to a new?
Please.
Is that okay? Okay.
But Chair, I don't know.
Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'm afraid that if I want to give my full attention to what you're going to say now, and I don't want to forget this question either. So can I just ask it now?
Please go.
Okay, thank you. So you talked about the public-facing website, and I'm curious to know if our district website doesn't meet that requirement now, because we have a public-facing website which lists all of these, correct?
So we do have a public-facing website, and what I probably would do as in response to this is to bring some information to the board to show what is currently available, and then to have the conversation and have you have the conversation about, is there additional language you want to have here? What I understood from Dr. Chandragiri was specifically about parents being able to see, my student is in 7th grade, here are the key standards and content that they would learn in 7th grade, so that they're able to see what we're working on across the district.
So there are two parts to it. One is a standard, which actually, if you dig a little bit, you can get it from Oregon Department of Education as well. But then the teacher also may be teaching something, so that the parents or mentor or somebody can keep track and saying, okay, in this semester, you're supposed to learn this. This is what is being done. This is what you'll have a test coming up, and these units will be tested. So let's sit at home, and instead of playing, let's sit and study for that. So as simple as that. Okay. So one is a standard, and second thing is our school teaching according to the what stage in the standard are we, and so that parents can also work and making sure that we reinforce that. So that is one part of it. Yeah, if you dig you can get all those answers everywhere, but they're all buried in the middle of, multiple layers of websites. So the next question did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. So what I was going to ask is there a way we can have somewhere we can still preserve honors classes and AVID program? But those are really a big game changer, because I went to Sprague graduation. Teachers were literally saying, we want our honors back. We also want to feel challenged to teach something back. Once we can have high expectation, then everybody will rise up to that. I believe we can achieve the equity lens by expecting high and necessary support. We heard Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. say that this some time ago, right? You expect high and then provide the support, and everybody will kind of rise up in that thing. Like one hand over the shoulder and the other one you kind of lift up by the bootstrap. So having that honors class and AVID program somewhere, just calling out and saying, we will strive for excellence. Because to me, that is a way to close the historic gaps that we have in achievement gap and all the other metrics. Otherwise, incremental stages of trying to go there or trying to cut that standard is not going to help us close the historical gaps, in my opinion, for different groups that has faced inequities. So, and something like STEM, I keep talking about STEM as an example. So, so I think it would be nice if we can call that out, saying superintendent shall not fail to have honors classes and AP programs and AVID among or similar programs, which will help close the inequity gaps in different groups. And if you want data, I probably have pulled out the data from 2011 till 2021 in different demographic groups, how AP attendance, there has been a difference. It's also as part of Office of Civil Rights data collection, which really calls out those participation in AP programs. So we are anyway collecting the data, so it will fit in very nicely with this, in my opinion. So the negative language would be not fail to ensure that we have high quality AP programs or honors classes in every school in order to close the equity gap.
Yes, Jolie?
In relationship to what Director Chandragiri was saying, I've noted I'm in IB classes, and one thing I've noticed is that the majority of kids that are doing IB classes aren't students from more diverse or harder backgrounds, and I think that a goal like that our district needs to focus on is preparing kids for standard curriculum, but also making accelerated curriculums more accessible to all different types of students, because I feel like a lot of students who I know feel discouraged or like, oh, I'm not smart enough to do this, but if when they were younger in elementary school, if they were like shown some pathway things to achieve this, and if given more resources to support them, it would be more helpful, especially like we were talking earlier about students not necessarily having Wi-Fi access at home or things like giving students handouts and information like papers and things so that they and their parents can be informed of ways to get into accelerated programs more smoothly. Thank you.
Director Harnish?
Yeah, so I thank you, Director Chandragiri and our amazing student advisor. My understanding of executive limitations, it is something that is to be broad enough that it guides our work as a board and your work as a district. And so hearing those 2 points, I know we're not here to wordsmith things here tonight, for sure, but as the new 3 and the new 4, those to me feel like we could make sure that those are inclusive of programs that will challenge our students, will provide the opportunities, and also that we as a district will not fail to make sure that they're available to all of ours. So as I read 3 and 4, I think with some wordsmithing, it might help getting at what you both are raising. And I would also just say my understanding too of executive limitations is you want them to be as flexible as possible and really clear, like here's the absolute, you cannot do these things. So.
Director Ortiz?
Thank you. I I don't want to be redundant, but that was similar to what I was wanting to clarify, that executive limitations through our board policies are an area, and maybe this is the question, right? It's how we provide essentially guardrails and set expectations, but not directly implement or manage programs, correct? And so in this instance, I think of the example, which we're able to do that, say, more through our budget process. Like that's an area where, we can talk a little bit more about like programming and whatnot. So I think that's important for us to clarify around what the parameters that we have within the policy are. Thank you, Deputy Superintendent Neves. I think the language is generally good. I think this, we've talked a lot this year around setting high expectations for our students. And so I think that there's an opportunity for us to reinforce that here around when we're talking about our academic programs and curriculum, that they are of high quality, right? That we really set that bar for ourselves around making sure that they're high quality, making sure that we are setting those high expectations for all students, and that it's not, through one specific program or another, but that is the language and the culture that we are building. And I think this is a way that we can present that as well. So that would be my one suggestion.
Thank you. Dr. Sandieri?
Yeah. Thank you very much, Chair, for giving me this little extra time to discuss this. The way I see it, Vice Chair Harnish, is that I really feel, whether it is our budget or elsewhere, we talk about equity when it comes to the revenue stream, but when it comes to the expenses, we are not able to track and, follow the inequity ladder all the way from K1 to K12. So I really feel if we really have to close the inequity, then we need to have programming which really starts closing the ladder right from the beginning and build it upwards. It's not enough to simply say I'll reduce the standard at high school when I have not prepared the foundation. That's what I'm talking about. So if you really want to, it would be important to call that out and say right from kindergarten onwards or early education learning onwards, we need to start thinking in terms of closing the inequity by having programs or high-dose tutoring or whatever we know works. And then it allows us to measure. It may not be perfect, but at least it allows us to measure, are there intentional programs that are put in place? For example, CTEC. They have to go through certain things in order to qualify for that. But are there anything we can develop in middle school or elementary school which kind of builds that pipeline? Because I feel in our nation, the biggest challenge is opportunity gap more than inequity in the sense. So a lot of our children have not been exposed to all the possibility there is. So if you start exposing them intentionally from the beginning, pair it with mentoring, pair it with, say, some kind of volunteering opportunity or external thing. But how are we going to get that in executive limitation is by saying, in a way, we have to say, some of the programs we have to call it out as it is, like honors course and AP course. They are like standardized thing. So even if we can start there, and that is in line with our civil rights data collection. So there also they use the word how many students are there in AP program or honors program, etc. So we can, anyway we are measuring, so I thought we could use that equity lens, but specifically call out at least a few of those programs, and to start saying that from the kindergarten or first grade or elementary school, are we offering that kind of extra tutoring, high-dose tutoring, etc. These are standard practices. And then we will have a way to measure over time. Every year, are we doing it? How much we have to scale it up? How much money to invest on that? Otherwise, in the 6 years I've seen the budget, we'll talk about the revenue. We have all the weightages, but when it comes to expenses, I don't see that dollar following the child. So that's the reason I wanted to make sure that somewhere we capture it, so it starts allowing us to start thinking in terms of a student-based budgeting over maybe next 4 years or 5 years we can get to that point. Otherwise, we'll simply keep using equity every time, but we are not able to close the gap because our expenses don't follow that.
Sure.
Jenny?
Oh, please, Jennifer.
Yes, yes, I believe this EOL, it's pretty easy to read. It's pretty short and sweet. You kind of condense some of it. As a parent looking at our community members, it is pretty easy to read. I could read this pretty fast. I appreciate some of the condensed versions of you do it. But I do agree that as far as the standards, as my other colleagues have been talking about the last couple of minutes, I do agree. I like the fact that leaving the national recognized, because standards limited ourselves, and I like to see our students to exceed. So that's the only thing on here I really would like to add back is the national recognized, because that makes our children look like they can exceed, do better. Other than that, I feel that this is very easy to read. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I've gathered the feedback that you've just offered, and a couple of sort of themes that I hear that we'll bring to you in our next round of revision have to do with access for families and information that families can get around our academic program, potentially something around resources or investment. I'll also look to see if this is the right EL for that to show up or somewhere else. Pieces around the standards, both in terms of national standards as well as our expectations for students, and potentially some language around access to and opportunities for courses of rigor, which would include many of the different programs you named without mandating a particular program in a particular school or grade level. And some language potentially as well to reinforce that this is for our pre-K-12 trajectory for our students. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Superintendent Castaneda, do you wish to provide further review of any item listed on the consent calendar?
I do not, thank you.
Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I would like to pull 2 items.
What 2 items?
The 2 superintendents, deputy superintendent's appointment, and I want to recognize them.
Okay, not at this point in time, but I'll give you opportunity. At this time, I need a motion for the remainder of the consent calendar. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar excluding the 2 items that were pulled?
Yes, I do.
Dr. Shandagiri makes the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll move to
Second.
approve items A and D.
Okay, he moved to approve them. I need a second.
A second, yeah.
Okay. And Director Ortiz seconds it. All in favor of the items on the consent calendar excluding the 2 that were pulled, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. At this time, we'll have discussion.
I just wanted to say thank you to our 2 deputy superintendents, Deputy Superintendent Cobb and Deputy Superintendent Nevis. Thank you for doing exemplary, wonderful work. And I want to personally say how much I appreciate the thoroughness and your dedication. And, and you have, at least I have worked with you Deputy Superintendent Cobb for many years and enjoyed working with you, Deputy Superintendent Nevis. Thank you for coming to our community and lifting up the standards and the amount of work that you have both have put in. I just didn't want to simply put it as part of a big consent calendar and vote on it. I really wanted to call that out and say, I so much appreciate the work and the way you have helped build that dual language immersion program from where we were and where it is now. So Deputy Superintendent Cobb, thank you for teaching me, first of all. I mean, you kind of spent so many hours trying to help me understand when we first asked for it. And so thank you for doing that and continuing to help us. And I can see the smile in so many parents and the engagement in so many parents and the happiness that their children are finally getting to learn English and another language with high degree of proficiency, and the way you helped us understand some of the testing models that you have suggested, recommended, so we can have much more finer diagnostics of where they are and helping them embrace the phonetics part of the reading. And likewise, Deputy Superintendent Nevis, you have done an amazing job of helping us understand how we need high rigor, like what you did in Tulsa, because our state needs that kind of help and boost to kind of get to that level. So thank you very much, both of you. And your leadership is so much appreciated by our parents and everybody, and I wanted to specifically mention that. So that's the reason I pulled, nothing else. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Fuller.
Thanks. I wait because I like to hear you say my name over the microphone.
I was kidding you.
You're kidding. Okay. Deputy Superintendent, Olga and Danielle. I can't think of the names. I'm gonna piggyback on what Satya said, which was helping us understand. I heard you say those words, and I'm going to use this as an opportunity to kind of show my work to the community and to those who are watching tonight. And I'm not. I want you, the both of you, to understand this is not what I'm going to say is not about you. This is about the process and what we do and how at least I do my work here on the board. With all of the public comments that I've been hearing lately and people coming to me with this budget reduction, I wanted to make sure that when we were approving new contracts that due diligence was done. So for those watching tonight, for my process, I don't know how the rest of you did it, but I compared to other districts similar size and looked at responsibilities, measured, and I am voting to approve your contracts tonight because it's well within the means and where it's not exorbitant, it's not under, it's right where it should be about. And I just think that for a district this big, the two of you are doing a phenomenal job, and I'm happy to approve your contracts, seeing how they fit in, and thank you for all the work that you do.
Thank you, Director Fuller. Deputy Superintendent Cobb and Neves, there's not enough words to express how we feel about the work that you do. You do outstanding work. You go up and beyond the call of duty, and we sincerely appreciate it. And there's not enough money to pay you for all you do. Just know that you are sincerely appreciated, and we thank you for all you do. No, yes.
I just want to say, Danielle, you're the first person in the district that I met when we went to the graduation this summer. So that was really fun. And Olga, you used to work with Mr. Hall, who I know very well, is my cousin. And I just think it's we're here talking about the two of you, and I just have these amazing first interactions and stories with the two of you.
Oh, we have to vote, don't we? I moved right on. I'm happy
happy to make a motion.
I'm coming. All in favor? Oh, no, I need a motion. I need a motion to approve the contract, those two items, B and C.
I would be delighted to make the motion to approve items B and C on the consent agenda for our deputy superintendents, Neves and Cobbs.
I need a second.
I will gladly second that.
All in favor, say aye and raise your right hand. Aye. Aye. It's unanimous. Thank you so much.
Well deserved.
As a reminder, everything in the Information Standard Report section is provided for the board's review ahead of the meeting. Superintendent, do you have anything to add?
Only that as we move through this last portion, you'll see reports on executive limitations. So it just kind of keeps us in the conversation we have been in, and you'll see the way that an executive limitation report creates accountability flowing back to the board. And it also helps just make the shall not language make a little bit more sense when you look at it as a way of reporting on activity over a year. Thank you.
Thank you. That takes us to our board reports section of the agenda, where directors and student advisors shall work from formal committee assignments and activities of the board related to youth programs and school district activities since the last board meeting. I'm going to start with Student Advisor Jackson.
Thank you. I really want to take this spot to just talk about some future things that a bunch of our programs are working on at Sprague. First of all, we have our speech and debate club. They are doing incredible work, in preparation for the coming qualification, state qualification, national qualification. They've been doing competitions, but they always ramp up at the end of the year. So I just wanted to shout out our debate team. Secondly, our math club is doing really good work right now. We're currently selecting people for the Chemeketa Regional Math Competition right now. Last year, I think multiple people got awards. We as a group in the relay, I think we got second. And it's an incredible experience. And then currently right now, our winter percussion program, which is a very new program. Our first, debut was last year. And this year we're really excited to present our show called Wait For It, using music from Hamilton. We're just doing some really incredible preparation in all of our programs across Sprague.
Thank you. Student Advisor Jolie.
Thank you. I would like to say thank you to all the teachers and the students and preparation for finals that is coming up in high school. I know a lot of students, and it's been they've been working so hard, and the teachers. I also, South, we have a theater, Just Desserts, coming up next month, which I'm excited for. I have a lot of friends in that. And also, I would like to, before winter break, all the clubs and school spirit that was going on and volunteer work that was going on to support families and students and things like that. So thank you.
Thank you. Director Parker.
Yes, yesterday I had the opportunity to go to the McNary High School to look at the new math curriculum and ACL. Very quite impressive. It looked really well developed, and I was excited to learn more information about that. And then on the weekend, we just got done, as we mentioned, we had the board retreat, which was really fun. Got to learn and get to know more about the other board directors here and a little bit more about myself also. That was fun. Over the holiday break, I got to go to, I can't even remember which ones I mentioned, which one I went to, because it's been so long ago. But I went to a lot of the Keizer Lights parade, kissing kids singing at the Capitol, and some going to holiday markets. So I love a lot of fun, but most excited this new year, being able to do all the upcoming new exciting new events that are on the rise. So I'm really looking forward to getting to do that and seeing all these new experiences. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Ortiz?
Yeah, I'm not gonna even try to go back to December. That was a while ago. That was last year, but what was it, Saturday? It was such a joy with all of you. Jackson, we missed you, but so glad you're here. And just to spend time with all of you as my dear colleagues, your board members. We have a lot of work ahead of us. I know we're still kind of forming, right? We have 2 board members that hopped on in July, and so it's been it's been fun to get to know you and get to work and learn alongside you. And I just want to appreciate the words shared with us earlier from Dr. King, and may we all stay committed to, as he said, beauty, love, and justice, and kind of hold one another close and that commitment at the forefront.
Thank you. Director Harnish?
Yes, for sure. I, too, really enjoyed our retreat that we had on Saturday, and I just appreciate everybody's being there and being so open and getting to know each other. And I feel really emboldened with that, and just feel like we're at such a good place and space to do amazing work and challenging work that we have in front of us. I think it was last week, we had the Long Range Facilities Planning Group, or committee. We met at Parish Middle School and got to have a tour of that school, which it's been a while since I'd been in there, so it was fascinating to look, and there's a lot of work to be done at Parish School. But at this point in our journey on the committee, we focused in on educational adequacy, also looking at alternative education needs, and really having a deep discussion on the impact of facilities and our ability to meet educational goals. And it's at this point in the juncture of this committee where all of these presentations are starting to come in, and then in our last meetings, we'll continue doing that, but then also be forming some recommendations back to us as a board. And so I can feel all of and some conversation I've had with some of the committee members, it's like, we've got a lot of work to do. And there isn't enough, there's not enough to go around for how do we do this, and thinking about a potential bond. So I just wanted to preface that the committee is working really hard to bring back recommendations to the board about some next best steps to ensure that our facilities are what our kids and our staff need. So thank you.
Director Fuller?
Hi, thank you. The last time we met on the dais was December 16th. It's a long time ago. It's a long time. So, I want to start by, I'm going to mimic a lot of what's already been said, but I want to start by, I want to get this out of the way because it's kind of tough to talk about. Over the holidays, my family, we experienced a handful of just deaths. It's hard. The holidays are not always happy. And there are certainly good times in them. And I just want to say that, you never know what people are are going through or experiencing. And so to please just be kind. And holidays, I think that there's this expectation that everybody's like all on for Christmas, but there are people out there that are struggling. So I don't want to bum everybody out, but I just think that's really important to bring up. Everybody's talked about the retreat, and I want to talk about it too, because I want to thank the district for putting that together. I don't know if it was to help those of us that are new, or how it came to be, but I will say that just being up here tonight, post-retreat, that I feel probably the most comfortable, and it just feels better, knowing that we spent the good part of a Saturday working on how to talk to each other. It's not hard, but there's skills to that. And, you can naturally talk, but how do we talk with intention? How do we speak respectfully? How do we collaborate? And I think one of the most fun, it was fun too. A lot of time, getting up at 8 on a Saturday is not really what I look forward to. But the time flew by. It went by so fast on Saturday. And so that meant we were all engaged. We were having fun. We were into it. I sure enjoyed it. So thank you to the district for putting that together. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to be joining students at North for their student, I hope I get the word right, student advisory cabinet to the superintendent. Did I get that? Is that what it is? Okay. So I'll be attending that in the morning. I'm looking forward to that. I have tickets coming up for Shrek and Mean Girls, so I'm really looking forward to that. So I don't want to take everybody's time, but thank you. Yeah, Chrissy.
Director Hudson.
Thank you. So just thank you to everyone. It's kind of neat having you guys here today, but it's you kind of really, you make me think of the heart of our community and of our schools and or honestly of our nation. And so it takes people with passion and care for students and kids and our future to go into this field. And anyway, and so we need to savor that and people that are willing to do that. So thank you. So since we were talking about rigor and all of that, I just wanted to point out really quick, McNary is in their second year of their DECA program, and they actually have been recognized as the most successful chapter in the state on the second year, and that's kind of a big deal. So they also get to now choose 4 kiddos. 4 of their DECA kids will go on to the International DECA Conference in Atlanta. Because of that, they're the only DECA group that met, evidently in the state, a list of tasks. So with this DECA State conference recognition, and this is kind of interesting because maybe some people don't know, and I do appreciate that this is built into it. They made blankets for families in need. They got points for recruiting members. They have a lot for a second year, evidently. Cleaning up Keizer Rapids Park, promoting DECA within the school, which is good that I see that growing and available in most or all of our schools by now. And then organizing guest speakers and so on. So I know that the kids really enjoy that, and it's really neat to see them find their passion and just have that one more area that challenges them and want to be a part of our future. So thank you for having that in our district.
Dr. Sandy Gear.
Well, thank you very much, Chair. I just don't know what to say, but I just want to say something. All our children matter, both while they are in our school and eventually when they go to college. You know, what they kind of build on this, which will carry them in college, and they have to go and stay on their own in the dorm or independently and kind of learn to have another round of wanting to fit in and sense of belonging. Those is really, really, really important. So I think, mental health matters for our children. Sometimes when we are doing all these things, we should not overlook that. The footprints of that mental health challenges are going to be deeper and wider after the pandemic and school closure, etc. Sometimes our children can be very bright, maybe doing very well academically, but it's still important to focus on connecting and learning to share emotions, receive emotions, and sit down and talk about it. Leave your smart devices aside and hold one-to-one, human being to human being, adult to adult, child conversation. And it's really, really, really important. And all children matter. They're like our future. And we can all do our part to make that connection. It doesn't have to be your own parent, or it doesn't have to be your teacher. It doesn't. Any one of us have the ability, and we must. The need to belonging is universal, but sense of belonging, one can feel lonely even in the middle of a crowd. So we have to take special time and effort to connect. And I just wanted to make sure that I call that out and not forget in the all other topics that came up, which are important. And we have to continue to stay focused on that. And we have to, for years to come, and we can do, it's nothing like we have achieved the goal, but it's an ongoing work in progress, and we all can play a role. So, with that, I want to say parents can step up, start volunteering, showing up in the different spaces. It doesn't have to be parent, it can be any adult in this community. Please step up. We need everybody, all hands on the deck, to make sure our students and faculty's mental health and everything else, they feel a sense of connectedness and belonging. And that's the way we can play a role, and let's keep 2026 as a way to start that process. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm excited about Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday today, and I can relate to a lot of the things that was said in that speech tonight. I lived it, and so I know about it. Thank you so much for that. But right now, I want to recognize our superintendent. Will you please bring it up on the screen for us? Our superintendent, Andrea Castaneda, has been listed as one of the 25-26 superintendents to watch. She is the only one in Oregon that was selected for this. Ryan Marshall, one of our counselors, quoted, "She communicates with conviction, grounded in compassion, elevating the worth and dignity of those too often overlooked. She never shies away from difficult conversations or complex challenges, meeting each with grace, humility, and strength." We are so proud of you. Very, very proud of you. Everybody I talk to about you, I tell them how amazing you are, how you are so courageous, how you are so transparent. I don't see fear in you. I see we've got to do this. This is the right thing to do, and we're going to find a way to do it. And so I ask you to continue to lead with that strength and that courageousness. We need you. And we love you. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm gonna run to my car anyway. It is currently 8:29 p.m. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.